There's a misconception that video creation has to be time consuming. You can use AI to really systemize and automate a lot of video content creation and do it in a slither of the time that it previously took. A lot of people think that AI tools for video creation only really create the visuals, and they're not aware of just how beneficial AI can be for time saving. My videos, they could easily take 10 to 15 hours to create to edit a single video. It was such a bottleneck. And now by using AI tools to just kind of automate so many steps of that workflow, I could have a video out on a great day, an hour and a half.
When it comes to AI video editing, where do we start? My special guest is an AI educator who helps businesses and creators simplify the video creation process. His YouTube channel focuses on AI video tools. Preece, welcome to the show. How you doing today?
Hey, Michael. I'm good, thank you. Thanks. It's great to be here, and great to speak to you in person after having followed your content in the past. Really cool to be here.
Awesome. It's awesome to have you here. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your journey. How did you get into AI?
Yeah. Let's go back to when I used to work in marketing. I mentioned coming across your content in the past. I used to work in a 9-to-5 job in a marketing role. I was following you to get better in that job. And while I was working in marketing, I saw this growing influencer trend. Like, influencers was first sort of getting some traction, and I saw company ad spend going towards influencer marketing. And I'd always had an interest in video creation, but I was in a marketing role where I was pretty much just handling a database. I was managing their CRM and sending emails out. So really wasn't fulfilled in my job. And this new industry that was kicking off of creating videos and getting paid for it really appealed to me. So I transitioned out of my marketing role into becoming a content creator, creating video content, loved it. But then I very quickly encountered the next problem, which was the aim of the game in content creation. Like, one of the components of success is consistency and a high quantity of content. So I was trying to keep up with that demand. I was just trying to make as much content as I could. And eventually I burnt out. I was just trying to do everything on my own, trying to compete with these behemoths, with teams of other content creators, with teams underneath them. I was a one-man content creator, and I just couldn't do everything on my own the way I was approaching it. So I became obsessed with optimization and efficiency. How could I maximize my time so that me as one person could meet this requirement of like a high quantity of content to stay consistent, but still keep my sanity? I started exploring efficiency in terms of like templates and checklists and all that stuff. And then, like magic, AI came along, and it was my saving grace. Like, I was able to fall back on AI, just immerse myself in learning about the systems that AI could build, the optimizations, the automations, and I kind of just fell in love with AI and using AI to help with creating video content. And I've been delving into it ever since. I eventually started talking about the AI that I was using to create my videos in my YouTube channel, in my content there. Made a video about AI, using AI for video editing and the time saving it can provide there. That video gained traction. So I became known as the AI video editing guy, because there was just a clear interest in that. And I've been just delving into AI and AI video editing and saving time with AI ever since.
Love it. So when did you actually go off on your own and decide you wanted to be a video creator? Do you remember what year that was?
We're probably going back 7 or 8 years now.
Wow. And what were the topics that you were focused on when you first started? And obviously we know that evolved now to mostly focus on AI.
Mm-hmm. So originally, I didn't really know what I wanted to be long term. I bounced from job to job after university, and I mean, I did fine. My employers were happy, but internally, I was not I wasn't happy. And I thought it was just a specific job that I was in. But after I bounced onto a few, I realized it was actually working for someone else. It didn't fulfill me. So I knew that I just decided to just end my job, pack my bags, and go on a round the world trip and figure things out. But I decided that while I'm doing that, I was going to use content creation and video creation kind of as like an accountability tool. I knew that I enjoyed making videos, and if I made videos around my journey of trying to figure out the next chapter of my life and put it out to the world, that would keep me accountable and keep me moving forward in this new direction that I'd chosen. So my early videos were around kind of figuring out my next steps, starting to delve into entrepreneurship and try a few business experiments, and talking about what I was learning around content creation and getting a bit meta there. And things evolved into where they are now, where I'm known as an AI enthusiast, an AI educator.
Very cool. Okay, so you've been covering video for a while. Obviously, you've been a creator, and now you're teaching creators and entrepreneurs and marketers really how in the world can you simplify this process. And as someone who's also a creator, I can relate to the challenge because I do not enjoy making content starring just me. It's a it's a slog, it's a drag, it's a lot of work. I know I can turn on my phone and I can just click record, but it's all the other work that comes with it that scares me. And what I'm really excited about today is to dive into how that can be now possible for anyone who's listening. But there are some obviously misconceptions people have about AI and video. So I'd love to kind of hear a little bit of your thoughts on that before we dig into more of the details.
Yeah. I've thought about this before this call, and there's two misconceptions that I really want to kind of highlight here that I've seen, over the 8-9 years of content creation and the 2-3 years that I've been really dialing in on AI with content creation. First off, there's a misconception that video creation has to be time consuming. I meet some people who are going for absolute perfectionism, and they spend 20, 30, 40 hours creating a single video for social media. And I meet other people, maybe marketers or entrepreneurs that want to create video to promote their product and grow their business, but they've never made video before, and they just have this fear that video creation is going to take up so much of their time that it's just not feasible to even think about creating videos. It couldn't be further from the truth. And especially with all the flood of AI tools we've got in the last year or two, you can use AI to really systemize and automate a lot of video content creation and do it in a slither of the time that it previously took. So that's the first misconception. The second misconception is around the use of AI with video creation. A lot of people think that AI tools for video creation only really create the visuals, like they're only used for making visuals to be used in your videos. And they're not aware of just how beneficial AI can be for time saving. I would say using AIs for saving time is like the big win with video creation. Generating visuals is just the icing on the cake, but there's such a high ROI using AI to save time for video creation.
I love it. And this is really important distinction for everybody to understand. You do not have to create AI generated video. You can take human generated video, for lack of better words, and you can use AI to help speed the process, which I absolutely love. So I might be getting a little bit ahead of myself, but what is the benefit? What are the upsides when AI video editing is done well?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've already touched on speed. There's a huge time saving potential there, turning jobs that would take hours or tens of hours into minutes. And that's not an exaggeration. We'll dive more into that in the future later on in this call. Cost is actually a big one that a lot of people don't immediately think about. AI, it allows us to save time. And if we're putting a value on our time, we're getting time back, which we can then use on other things. So there's a saved opportunity cost there. And secondly, AI tools, as well as saving time around video creation, they also simplify video creation. So whereas in the past, an entrepreneur or marketing team may have needed to hire video creation employees to do that job, they may be empowered now to do it themselves. So there could be a cost saving element there of not having to hire staff that they previously would have had to. And finally, I guess the third benefit I would want people to think about is consistency. Whereas before there would have been all of these bottlenecks in video creation, slowing people down. With those bottlenecks being like removed with AI tools, you can now create so much more content than you previously would have been able to, allowing you to be a lot more consistent with your content creation. And consistency is so important when you're trying to grow on social media. Like, consistency keeps you front of people's minds. And also consistency, it's great for learning because it provides you with that faster feedback loop. The more videos you're putting out, the more you're learning what works and what doesn't. What do audiences respond to and what don't they? What editing techniques and production techniques work and what don't. So that consistency is just strengthening your learning journey too.
Okay, so if you have ever said to yourself, I don't want to make video because it is very time consuming, that's going to be eliminated. If you've ever said, I can't do it because it's too costly, that's going to be eliminated. If you ever said there's just too many bottlenecks and too many different things that are standing in the way, that's been eliminated. So a lot of the reasons why so many of us who seemingly have really good things to say do not show up on video and do not get our message out to the world are effectively eliminated as a result of what we're about to talk about today, which is kind of a big deal. So this is a transition, Greg, right into my next question, which is when it comes to AI video editing, where do we start?
Yeah. I guess there's two starting points. There's mindset and then there's process. So I'll just quickly talk about mindset and then I'll move on to the process. So I think it's important for people to set a realistic scope in what they're trying to achieve with their edits. And drill down to its core like purpose. An edit only exists to enable you to deliver your message. An edit should serve the message. I see a lot of people out there, typically beginners and experienced video creators, who they think an edit needs to be this like overly stimulating, flashy, fast-paced thing that, has to like keep people's attention every second. Something's changing. That's not the case. Like it's really the edit's job to get out of the way of the message and just help deliver the message more effectively. So set scope, I would say, and just remember that and avoid being overly ambitious to the level where it actually is distracting and ruins the video.
Okay, so just so we're crystal clear here, what I'm hearing you say is that we, as creators of content, should adopt the mindset that our objective is to ensure that the message is received by the recipient. Therefore, anything that's standing in the way ought to be cut. That's effectively what you're saying, right? We need a mindset of like simplify the message so that it gets through to the recipient. Don't worry about making it be flashy or exciting or all these things that maybe you aspire towards. Accept the truth that the main objective is to ensure that the message is received by the watcher. Is that kind of what I mean?
Yeah. It's the simplicity in the edit that makes the message more understandable. You want to avoid falling into the trap of over editing.
Love it. Keep going.
Cool. So that's mindset. That's one starting point. And then really it's just process. Like it's understanding each individual step that editing consists of from starting to finishing it. And I can run you through those steps if you're ready to jump into that.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So first step of editing once you've recorded your footage is doing your first pass. It's creating your rough cut edit. So the rough cut edit is basically when you go back through your recording and you remove mistakes. You remove anything you missaid. You remove sections that you recorded that you later realize you actually don't want to be in the final video. And also you remove those moments of silence, those extended pauses that you don't want in the final edit. So that's the first pass. That's step number one.
Okay, so just so everybody understands, like, how do we know what to cut and what not to cut? Is AI going to help us with this down the road, or just let's talk about this just for a second?
Sure. So previously we were doing all this ourselves, but yeah, you're giving us a little peek into what's going to come later. AI definitely helps us with this stuff now.
Okay.
We're cutting out, sometimes when you're recording a video, you'll get halfway through the sentence and make a mistake, and then you'll restart that sentence and film it again from the beginning. You're cutting out that initial mistake. You're cutting out things that you don't want in the final edit. As I said before, you're cutting out maybe tangents that you went on that you realized after the fact you don't want in the final edit. It's stripping out anything unnecessary and unwanted for the final video.
Real quick, I know that you're watching this video because you want to master AI, but let's be honest, AI feels overwhelming, right? Which tool, which workflow, where do you even start? But while you're figuring it out, there are marketers in your industry becoming invaluable to their organizations. They're not working longer hours. They've just mastered AI implementation, and that's given them true job security. Here's what made the difference: the AI Business Society. It's where you get practical training from expert practitioners who show you real workflows, not theory. You join a community of marketers solving the same problems you're facing. You get access to strategies you can implement immediately. You go from overwhelmed to confident, from confident to indispensable, from indispensable to untouchable. You're the one your boss turns to, the one getting the first pick on new projects, the one whose position is secure. Want that? Check out AIBusinessSociety.info to learn more. Now, this might presume a couple of things, but isn't it true that AI could also help us with scripting? I mean, we haven't really gone there, but do you find that most people these days have got a bullet list or a script of stuff? And if they do, maybe they're pronouncing words wrong, or do you find most people just kind of free flow a little bit when they're making these videos?
I found after doing this for 8-9 years now that everyone has a different style in how they actually approach recording their videos. But a pattern that I have found to be true is most beginners try to have as fully fleshed out a script as possible. And they lean into just basically reading while recording rather than talking, from their memory and off the top of their head. So that's definitely true from beginners. They're reading a lot more from full scripts and they're making a lot more mistakes as a result of that.
Yeah, and just, for folks that are folks that have scripts, the problem you have with that is you can see your eyes moving, when you're reading the script. Sometimes you didn't write the script the way you would speak the script, right? So you'll end up scrapping the script and you'll just look at the camera and you'll free flow it and you won't like the way it came out. So you'll say it again, or you'll read the script and you'll get tongue twisted and tongue tied, right? Which is not what normally happens when you just talk, when you just flow, right? So this is part of the reason why I would imagine there's going to be a lot of rough cuts. Is that fair to say?
100%. Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. And it's funny, I've coached some creators in the past, specifically entrepreneurs and experts and coaches. And it's funny because they build a career in being an expert on a topic, knowing this stuff inside out. But when it comes to recording, they're reading from a script when, they'll be coaching 7 hours a day, saying this stuff off the top of their head. And then when it comes to recording, they completely change how they normally do things. And the delivery is worse as a result. So if you are an expert in your field, I would say try and do it from use your existing knowledge rather than reading, which can seem kind of artificial and it's pretty obvious sometimes.
Love it. Okay, so we talked about rough cuts. There's a lot more. What else can we do with AI?
Cool. So once you've done your first pass, your rough cut, second stage of editing is fixing mistakes. You've removed mistakes in the first stage. Second step is you're fixing anything that needs to be fixed. So I can give you some examples of typical mistakes that people might want to fix at this stage.
Sure.
First is misspeaking words.
Yeah.
This can happen if you're reading from the script or talking from just off the top of the head. You can record your whole video. Let's say you recorded 20 minutes. You sit down to review everything, and you realize that in the moment you had no idea you did this, but you missaid a really crucial, important word. Fixing that, the steps typically in the past would involve turning on the camera again, getting all your set up, and refilming that line so that you said the line correctly. So obviously takes a lot of time. Another example of fixing mistakes is, you actually touched on this, a lot of the time when people are reading scripts, you can see their eyes moving. And people who just begin creating videos for the first time don't realize this. So they'll film a video or a batch of videos in one go, sit down to edit it, and just see their eyes scanning left to right the whole time. And then they make their decision to go back and refilm and try and fix that mistake. And this is all reshooting, which takes a lot of time to do all over again.
Yeah, and by the way, for folks that are watching this on the YouTube channel, I do read the opening intros for each of my guests. And if you pay very close attention, you can kind of see my eyes are moving a little bit. And sometimes I screw up because I try not to look at the script. I try to look at the camera, but in my brain, I'm like, oh, I got to get the script right. And usually if I ever make a mistake, it's almost always while I'm introducing my guests, which I did make a couple of those mistakes today, but I just kind of flowed with it. I don't think anybody noticed, but this is the challenge that we face when we are actually creating content specifically for video. Okay, cool. So far we've talked about the rough cuts. We've talked about fixing mistakes. What else?
Okay, so now you've gone through step 1 and 2. You've got all the mistakes removed. You've got all of your footage in order from start to finish, and you've corrected any mistakes. The next stage is adding a thing called B-roll to your recording.
And by the way, real quick, folks, we are going to get into all the tools to do all this stuff. Okay. So we're just identifying kind of the areas where AI can assist. And we're going to get into how to do that in just a few minutes. So B-roll, why don't you explain what that is for folks that don't know what that is?
Yeah. So B-roll is basically additional footage that you insert in your video over the top of what you're saying. So say I'm talking about how I work out for an hour a day on a specific exercise. During me saying that, I might want to insert some footage of me doing that actual exercise at that moment to correspond with what I'm saying. And that additional footage I add into the video is called B-roll.
And what's really cool about B-roll is it can cover up mistakes too. So like if you weren't looking directly at the camera while you were reading, you could cover that up with B-roll and nobody would even notice, which is a really cool little thing without having to reshoot the whole thing. So, okay, so we've got B-roll, fixing mistakes, rough cuts. What else?
Next stage is visual enhancements. So this is kind of like like I said, the icing on the cake that I spoke about earlier, the extra stuff that isn't essential, but some people would like to add it. It can kind of improve the viewing experience for the viewer at times. Not essential, but some people would like to add it. So this can be things like adding subtitles onto the video. So, a lot of times people are browsing through platforms like LinkedIn and they scroll past a video. That video will start playing with the sound off. So what subtitles can be really useful for there is helping people to understand what a video is about, even though they've got their sound off. So subtitles is one form of visual enhancement that people might want to add to their edit at that stage. And then just kind of like, I guess in the industry in Hollywood, they're known as visual effects, VFX. So just attention grabbing effects that you add to the video. So I could, if I wanted to make a VFX on this footage of me right now to get people's attention. I might add an explosion going off in the background or this poster falling off the wall. These are just really advanced things that catch people's attention that might help your video stress a point or maybe perform a little bit better.
Yeah, and other visual enhancements that a lot of people are probably familiar with is a concept called lower thirds, where you have like some words that pop up on the bottom of the screen, which might be the name of a person or it might be the name of a piece of software. Obviously, there's all sorts of cool little animations you can add on top of a video to just kind of give it more effect. So, okay, visual enhancements. And then is there more?
There is, yeah. It keeps going. After visuals, after I've fixed all my mistakes and got everything in place, added all the visuals I want in the video, now I like to focus on audio. We can break audio down into two parts. The first part is just enhancing the vocals, the voice recording in that footage. And then the second part is adding additional audio into the video. So this can be a backing music track, and it can also be kind of like audio special effects to complement what's happening in the recording.
Love it. Okay. So folks that are listening, you can do all the very basic editing, probably right down to the finesse of the final editing. You can fix mistakes, add B-roll, which is that over-the-top video or images with slight pan movements. You can obviously add visual enhancements if you want to, like subtitles and visual effects on the screen. And then, of course, you can do some audio enhancement, which is kind of a big deal because audio is actually one of the most important parts. Like you could have horrible video and have really good audio and it could still perform really well. But if you have great video with horrible audio, then you've got a problem. So let's get into some of the tools. I know there's a whole bunch of tools. What I would like you to do as we begin to reveal the tools is help me understand like what part of the process each of these tools does. But is it first safe to say that with the right set of tools, we can very easily accomplish everything we've just talked about today? Is that correct?
Sure. I'm going to run you through tools to help you with every stage of the editing that we just covered. And there's one more stage of editing, which is repurposing, obviously, using your one video that you've edited and repurposing it to go onto many different platforms. There's also an AI tool that can automate that for you and give you a ton of time back there.
Love it. Okay, so let's get into some of the tools. Where do we start?
Great. So I want to start with, this is potentially my favorite tool in the list. I use this so often. It's called Gling, Gling. And what Gling does is it basically automates that whole first pass edit that I said at the start of that workflow. That whole first step where you're making a rough cut, removing your mistakes. Gling does this automatically for you.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about how it works and all that fun stuff. Like how good is it and like, you know, like how fast is it too? I'm very curious.
Yeah. So first off, it's really good. It's great. And it works by, once you've recorded your footage and you've downloaded it from your camera onto your computer, you literally just add it into the app. Like it's an app that you download onto your computer. So you insert your footage into Gling. You tell it that you want all of the, the broken sentences, the incomplete sentences, the retakes that you did, all of those mistakes, all of the moments of extended pauses that are not useful for and not going to go in the final video. All of those mistakes, you want them removed. Gling takes maybe 3 minutes to analyze your video and then comes back with all of that stuff taken out of the recording for you.
So is Gling a add-on to existing video tools, or is it a standalone tool that kind of lives in the cloud? Or help us understand that, because there's a lot of people using Adobe or Final Cut, or whatever the tools are of choice. Is Gling kind of its own little editor? And is it smart enough to know like that it's accidentally took something out that it shouldn't have taken out?
Yeah. So first off, it's a standalone tool. And what I love about Gling is it allows you to extract your edit from Gling and import it into all the other popular programs like Premiere, Final Cut, all those tools you just mentioned then, to continue to then edit the next stuff, the additional things in when how you want to.
Does it
Okay,
actually keep all the edits when it puts it into the new tool, so you can kind of change them a little bit, or is it just exporting the final edited product?
No, it keeps all the edits. So say you maybe took a little bit too much out in Gling, and then you imported that into Adobe Premiere, you can retrieve what you stripped out in Gling in Premiere. It's great. It's non-destructible.
And does it normally, when people edit, sometimes they'll punch in a little bit, like what that means is they'll zoom in just a little bit to kind of hide the edit. Does it do any of that? Or is it just like, is it literally just slicing out all the stuff that it doesn't think it matters? Do you understand what I'm asking?
Yeah. I don't believe it does the zooms. It's at its core, it's for removing mistakes. So that's what I use it for every day. There are some additional features there that I've not dug into, but it's so powerful as this rough cut mistake remover. This is kind of what I really want to focus on with Gling.
Okay. And then that's pretty much what Gling does. And it's a desktop app for Windows and Macintosh. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And is it expensive?
I believe it's somewhere between $10 and $20 a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And it doesn't matter how long or short the video is. It just works.
Any length. Yeah. And this, we'll get more into times later on in the podcast, but this can save you so much time. You really have to try it to realize its potential. It's great.
So just out of curiosity, when you record these videos, are you not even aware of how much stuff is just fluff? I mean, or do you have to train the AI to kind of know what is and what is not fluff, or does it just kind of work? Do you understand what I'm asking?
It just works. And, there's a few different apps that do this job in removing mistakes, but I found Gling to have the best interface for going in and making any tweaks or corrections or adjustment based on what Gling does automatically. So it converts your whole recording into text, and then it kind of like shows you visually through the text what it's done, like what it's taken out, what it's left in. So you can just go back and so if it's taken too many words out, you can actually say, oh no, I wanted this sentence in. You can do one click to re-add that sentence back into your edit. If it's not taken something out that you realize did need to be taken out, you can quickly highlight the text and say, cut this. And it's so good. Like, my God, I can't stress how good Gling is.
So for people that are not professional video people, and maybe they don't have Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro, is Gling good enough that it could actually make the final product if you wanted to? Or is it really just meant for this rough cut?
It depends how ambitious you're trying to be with your edit. If you're trying to do a really simple edit, sure, Gling lets you remove any mistakes, maybe rearrange some of the sections and export that as a video. Sure. Okay. I like to use it as the first tool in a stack of tools. But yeah, if you are aiming for something more simple, sure, you can try doing everything in Gling.
Love it. Okay, what's next?
Okay, so we've spoken about step 1 of editing, of removing mistakes. Step 2 that I mentioned before is correcting mistakes that you can't remove, but they need to be fixed. And this is where a tool called Descript really shines. So with Descript, you can take that for initially edited video from Gling, you can put it into Descript, and you can fix things like if you said the wrong words, the example I gave earlier. Descript has this incredible feature where it can clone your voice. And then once that clone is created, you can simply, at any moment in your video, you can type in what you actually meant to say when you misspoke. And Descript will change the video audio to say the correct word rather than the incorrect word. But it goes one step further than that. It doesn't just change the audio. It has a lip syncing technology built into it so that it will change what your lips look like in the recording to make it look like you always said the corrected word that Descript has inserted into that video.
Okay. Wow. That's kind of a big deal, right? Because in the past, you would have had to cover that up with some B-roll. And now it will effectively allow you to somehow, Okay, if you said the word wrong, but it's one of those words that AI doesn't know how to pronounce, how does that work? Because you know how some words like AI reads without the distinction on the word, like I don't know, I can't think of a good word, but do you have to
Mm,
write down how to say it phonetically or whatever? Can you do something like that?
sure. Yeah. I mean, you have the ability to experiment and regenerate attempts at saying words. So you could try to write the word as it's written initially. If
Yeah.
that doesn't work, just then type it in phonetically and see if that works, and that should work.
Yeah, and I would imagine any AI model could probably help you figure out how to phonetically say it if you don't know how to phonetically say it. Okay, so Descript, I've had people on the show talk about Descript in the past. There's a lot of podcasters that use Descript.
Mm.
What they've said is that what they like about it is it's like a word processor. You just clip out whatever it is you want to change or whatever. Um, Descript, in some regards, probably could do some of this rough cut stuff
Mm.
also, but it's not as sophisticated, or you have to manually know what to cut. Is that generally how that works?
This script is moving into being able to help people with rough cuts. They are starting to add features to do that. But in terms of accuracy and user experience, like being able to go in and make modifications and just like great design and ease of use, for me, Gling still is the number one for doing that first stage of the edit, the rough cut. If you're looking to, reduce spends, you could try and do it all in Gling. You might have a slightly tougher time with it, or it might take you slightly longer. But if you have enough resources to invest in both, I would definitely recommend using Gling for that first pass, and then Descript as the next app in the process.
Do you recommend only using Descript then if there's spoken mistakes? And if there are spoken mistakes, are we just going to export that one little section? Do you understand what I'm saying? Instead of the whole video, because sometimes these video files can be massive, right?
Yeah, yeah. So Gling does a lot more than just fixing spoken mistakes. I can give you some more examples in the future, but
Kling or Descript?
sorry, let me correct myself. Descript does a lot more than just fixing spoken mistakes, and which we'll get into in a second. But also, Descript, it started out as a video editing software, and over the years, it's been adding in new AI features that let you do things that we're talking about now, fixing mistakes. But as Gling is simply just a tool for giving you that first pass with the intention of taking it from Gling into something else. Descript has always been a piece of software that exists for you to do the entire editing process. So once you put it into there, you can do all, in theory, you should be able to do all, if not all of the rest of the editing process inside Descript, because it is a video editing software in essence.
A cloud-based one, though, right?
Yes, there is a app you can download, but I prefer using the online version.
Love it. Okay, what's next?
So next we have Kling. This is an AI video generator, spelled Kling.
Okay, tell me more.
The most recent model is Kling 3, so that would be what I recommend you use. And this is just an incredible piece of kit. So, we spoke earlier about the division between time-saving AI tools and visual AI tools. This definitely falls into the visual camp. But of all of the visual tools out there I've seen, I believe this is at the best sweet spot for price versus quality. It's cheaper than the bigger AI video generators that you may have heard of. I think you spoke about some of them on this podcast before, like OpenAI's Sora video generator or Google's Veo generator. Kling is cheaper, and in most scenarios, is going to generate a better quality output than those two video generators, Tim.
So tell everybody how it works, just generally speaking.
Yeah, so there's really two ways of approaching using Kling. There's text to video creation, and there's image to video creation. So with text to video, the clue's in the name. You open up Kling, you type in the video that you want created, and Kling will create that for you. in its best possible attempt. Usually, like, that's good enough for most people, but some people want even more like fine control than that. They really want to dictate the creative direction that the video generator goes in. So those people will use image to video generation. They will actually create an image of what they want the very first frame of their video to look like. They'll upload that image into Kling, and they'll say, use this from this image, now create a video of the next 8 to 10 seconds from this starting image. And that way they're able to control what the characters look like in the video, what the environment is, and the video generator, Kling, creates the actions.
Yeah, and I would imagine ChatGPT or Nano Banana Pro, which is part of Gemini, would be the obvious first places to create these images, and you can create photorealistic images. And then I would imagine this will make them look really good. And then what do you do with this? This is going to be B-roll footage. Is that effectively what we're talking about here?
Yeah. So like I said, this is a visual tool. So this covers 2 of those steps of the editing process I spoke about earlier. You can use this for B-roll. So if you're talking about an eagle flying over a mountain, you can create a video of an eagle flying over a mountain instantaneously, rather than previously having to scroll through stock video footage to try and find that on an online video library. And also, you can create B-roll of yourself. Like I've had videos as mine where, I've generated an image of myself using Nano Banana, doing something crazy, uploaded that image into Kling, and then created a video of me in that scenario. So, yeah, really good for B-roll. And also, Kling can also be used to generate those special effects that I spoke about earlier too. So really strong in that visual area too.
Love it. Okay, so I would imagine Kling allows you to export in various resolutions and allows you to export like transparent PNGs if you want to, so that you can put some of that stuff on top of your video and see through it. Is that generally how it works?
I don't think Kling does transparency, but it's very rare that I need something transparent. I'm usually just creating something that goes over the whole video.
Got it. All right, cool. What's next?
Oh, what is next? Okay, yeah, I remember what I wanted to talk about next. Adobe Podcast.
Okay.
So this is the tool that solves that audio enhancement problem. I've got quite a nice microphone in front of me now, so my recording requires like very little enhancement on top of it. But I do this full time. I'm very fortunate to have some good equipment for video creation. Not everyone has a microphone that's expensive. And also not everyone has a completely soundproof environment to record their videos in. What Adobe Podcast does, it has an enhanced speech feature inside it, which basically turns any microphone in any sound environment, it turns that recording into a professional quality audio recording. You really have to hear it to believe it. It's incredible.
I love it. I'm a huge fan of it. And if you've ever like recorded a perfect video and then all of a sudden like a motorcycle drove by or something, and you hear that, in the background, it can take it out. And it's pretty phenomenal how it works. All right. I know there's more. What else we have?
Yeah. I can keep them coming. So the next one, remember we spoke about, we've already spoke about visuals and visual enhancements. Now we're talking about audio. We've got audio enhancements, but we can also do like extra audio. I spoke earlier about backing tracks and about special effects. This next tool sorts out that problem. It's called ElevenLabs, all one word. Pretty popular company, so a surprising amount of people have heard of this now. Actually, it's getting some real traction. ElevenLabs is great for creating any sound effect you can think of just by typing in that you need that sound effect. It will make it for you using AI. So that's one use of it. And equally, it has another feature where you can create any song that you can think of. You can type in how long the song needs to be, the type of vibe. Is it hip hop? Is it chill music? Is it a string quartet? It will create whatever you type in for the duration that you ask for. It's really crazy.
I love that. And you won't be dealing with any strikes against you on YouTube for any copyright infringements or anything like that. Love it.
Mhm.
What's next?
All right. And the final tool is a tool called Opus Clip. And this tackles that repurposing challenge that I said before, where it used to take a long time to re-edit a video, one video, and to be able to use it in all the different formats that all the different social media platforms require. You can just put your long video into Opus Clip, and it will create tens of shorter clips in different aspect ratios of different like key moments to use as promotion and as clips on all of your different social media accounts.
Yeah, and we should disclose you are one of their official creators on their YouTube channel. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
You're also of our conference, so we just want to get that out there.
Sure.
The way it works is, explain how it works just briefly. Like, what does it do exactly?
Yeah, so this started out really as a tool for podcasters. Podcasters would have a 1 to 2 hour long recording, and they'd need short clips, 30, 60-second clips to be able to put on TikTok and Instagram to capture those audiences on those platforms and bring them back to their long video. So Opus Clip started as a tool for them. Podcasters could automatically upload their 1 to 2 hour recording into Opus Clip, and it would, after 5 minutes of analyzing and doing its magic, it would spit out like 10, 20, 30 clips for them to use just automatically. They've evolved over time, and you can now create kind of longer clips, 5, 10, 15-minute clips. You can do vertical clips as well as the horizontal clips that it used to only create. And it's all about really just repurposing your original long video into multiple shorter clips.
And by the way, folks, as you were listening to the podcast, especially those on the audio side, you may have noticed a boom sound. That was Greg accidentally hitting his microphone. If we were using Adobe Podcast, it would have taken that out. It would have figured out how to take it out. It would have figured out how to level up his audio. I mean, this is just the magic of all these cool tools. What kind of time savings, like how long does it take you now, Greg, to go from recording? I mean, from the moment you're done recording to the completion of the final video, how long did it used to take, and how long does it take now that you have all these AI tools?
Yeah. So for my channel, and bear in mind, I've been doing this for a long time now, and I've got a quality standard in my head that might be higher than most people, but my videos used to they could easily take 10 to 15 hours to to edit a single video. Yeah. It was such a bottleneck in what I do. And now by using AI tools to just kind of automate so many steps of that workflow, I could have a video out on a great day, an hour and a half, and on a more ambitious day, maybe
an hour and a half from the moment you were finished with the recording, or the total time?
Yeah, sorry. So from when I sit down to edit, it used to take me 10, 15, 20 hours to edit. It's now down to an hour and a half to 2 hours. It's crazy.
Wow. Well, what have you done with all that kind of free time? Have you decided to do more videos, or have you put a lot more work in the front end of the creation of the videos? I'm curious what you've done with all that free time that you've gained.
Yeah. So when I first discovered this, like last year and just going back before last year, it was all about, oh my God, I can make so many more videos now. This has given me so much time back. And I'm full disclosure, I do also have an editor that I send work to, because as great as AI, it is, just filming a video and passing it off to someone else to do entirely is a lot quicker. So he takes a lot of the load, and then I still, on videos that I want to edit, I use AI for my edits. But yeah, initially I just got all of this free time back, and it was more videos. And that was great for the last 1 to 2 years. It got me a lot more attention. I got a lot of brands approaching me, want to sponsor my content and have me talk about their tools in my videos. My growth exploded. So that was amazing for the first couple of years. This year, I've decided that I want to, I studied entrepreneurship at university. I should just mention that to set some context. I've come to this stage in content creation where I want to be a bit more ambitious and explore other avenues. So I really want to explore more entrepreneurial pursuits this year. And the time, so now I'm using that time that I've got back from creating videos to just start exploring these other interests and start creating a strategy where on my entrepreneur interests fold into my content creation, and I'm touching on both of those passions. So yeah, the time back to strategize and weave in what I enjoy doing more, it's been awesome.
Love it. Greg, Preece, spelled Preece, like Greece, Preece. Where can we discover more about you? If people want to check you out on YouTube or want to follow you on the socials, where do you want to send them?
Yeah. So if you're an entrepreneur, a marketing team, or even a content creator that wants to use AI to create videos a lot faster, find me on YouTube. You can just type in my name, Greg Preece, and I'll be right there at the top. Or if you want to use the handle, my handle is @GregPreece on YouTube. And if you're a AI company that makes tools for video creators that speed up video creation, I work with those AI companies too. Reach out to me on LinkedIn, and that's where I speak to companies and help them kind of get seen on YouTube.
Greg, thank you so much for answering all my questions and sharing your wisdom with us today.
Thanks for having me.